Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Core Premiere Series. I am your host, Brendan Bolt, after taking a week off for family reasons, but we are back better than ever for a good night of racing here with the Big Block 358s at Limaland Motor Speedway here, back on the dirt ovals here tonight. Track temp 66 degrees, so we're not really worried about the track being too hot right now. You can see the track from this blimp static view. It is already well rubbered up. So it's going to be kind of slick by the race comes by, unless if they reset the track, but they probably won't. My co-host here tonight is David Tilford, as always, as has been for the past, for this previous season, and you did your first broadcast last week. How did that go, and what do you expect for this race tonight?
Yes, sir. Went well last week, dealing with all the production issues, but we made it through, and glad to have you back this week, Brendan. And looking forward to tonight. Our two series leaders, Grube and Hamilton, both have skill on the dirt oval, so looking to see them definitely stand out. And Carl Handwork definitely going to be looking to put that number 18 up at the front of the field as we make our way into the main event. We'll be getting started with the heats right now.
The first of three. That's your qualifying order. Can't go over it right now because we're going to go straight into our first heat here. Again, out of three, it's most likely, with how many cars we have 10 in here. It's probably going to be a 4-3-3 for the heats, but get ready to start this first one. Coming through turn 4, waiting on Barney. Green flag is out for Brandon Metler and Kevin Foster. Foster on that outside lane. He's going to try to run the high side to try to get a run out. Turn 2. Brandon Metler going to run up the track to try to block Foster and Carl Handwork. Metler having the lead going into 4.
Metler getting off to a good start here. Looking to get a heat win under his belt. Handwork working the bottom lane. He's not going to let Foster go by. And keeping an eye on Metler out front. Looking to see when he's going to have a chance to put a slide job on him.
Carl Handwork definitely trying to look where he is, but Kevin Foster also not too much further behind. Still has a chance to make a move because these cars are very hard to drive. I'm not really one to know, considering I bought this car about 10 minutes before the session came up entirely. But I know these things are hard to drive, but just based off the friends that I know that run these. So this is going to be a challenge for our drivers here tonight, all 10 of them. Brandon Metler is still with a big lead, just at a new fastest lap of the first heat, 13.076. And he's just pulling away from Handwork. A little bit further on back, Kevin Foster now under pressure from James Pierce. Kevin's made a couple mistakes here in this first heat, so that's given James opportunity to make moves and try and get around Foster for a higher startup spot in the feature. Pretty sure we have just enough cars here that everybody will make to the feature. This is just deciding your starting order. As Metler with the lead, Carl Handwork in B2, Foster third, James Pierce still fourth, but chasing down Foster. You see James get a little bit tight in that outside lane. That bridges the gap out big time by about 5/10. Everybody's separated by a second here, coming to complete lap 9.
Yeah, a little bit of a parade going on here with everyone about a second apart, but you kind of expect this from James Pierce. Normally, you'd expect him to be out front, especially if we were on a road course. But this is something that I know he's new to, and looking to just get his feet wet. New challenge, and hanging out with the guys here on some dirt tonight.
Actually, looking at the timing table, Carl Handwork is closing up on our leader, Brandon Metler. Does he have enough time? Lap 12 out of 15 here for this first heat. Handwork's coming. He's just got to get
really
there.
Coming quick. Yeah,
and he's getting there.
I think he's going to have a shot.
Gonna be very close from this number 15 down to 5/10 of a gap. Handwork's back to the wall a little bit out of 2. Does not disturb him too much, but he's got to get a run back out of turn 4. 2 to go here for heat number 1. Still a 7/10 gap. White flag this time for Brandon Metler. Putting the power down out of 4. Going into 1. So far, it's still a 7/10 gap, and actually climbing down to 6, but not enough time for Carl. One last send into turn 3. Breaks it down to 4/10, but not enough. Brandon Metler wins heat number 1.
Yes, sir. Brandon Mettler putting it on the front row for the feature event. So he did his job there, and we'll see what he can do later on.
All right, heat number 2 out of 3. This is going to involve John Nobinger, John Crane, and Christopher Hamilton. Both John spelled differently, but that I digress right now. As Christopher Hamilton, he's going to start 3rd in this one with Nobinger leading the pack. As we got to get through our 2 pace laps here tonight for this heat. Another 15-lap event. We got this one, and then one more heat before our feature here. I believe that is going to be 40 laps. And, excuse me, 60 laps here at Limaland. So this track's going to be very worn in by the end of the day. Going to be slick on the bottom, or whichever line is end up being used the most. Definitely going to be interesting for our drivers to have to adapt and get to the faster lanes when it changes, because it will change at these kinds of races.
Yeah, you can see already from practice, they have not been out grooming the track, and it is pretty well worn in as you see that slick forming on the bottom. Here we go to the green flag.
Green flag is out. John Crane with a good jump over that number 44. Nobinger grabbing the tires a little bit. We're 3 wide going into 3. Nope. John Crane has the lead going into 3. Hamilton on the bottom. Nobinger trying to make it work on the high side. He clears 64. Now he's going to chase the 11 going into turn 1. Keeps grabbing the tires, which isn't really the most optimal idea. Won't make it much faster on that inside lane. John Crane holding a 4/10 gap, but Nobinger's not really letting it grow.
This is interesting here. Nobinger making some mistakes, and Christopher Hamilton bringing up the rear so far. I look for him to start to put on some speed and look for a way to get by. As he
Nobinger
is
to the inside.
Crane.
John Nobinger to the inside. He gets clear of the 11. Now the 11 got to go to the bottom. Slide jump maybe from the number 11. He tries, but Nobinger's there. Side by side for the lead, finishing lap 5. And John Crane trying to do all that he can, and Hamilton just has to wait. A little bit of contact. Keeping it all clean and green right now. Crane putting too much power. Now to the 44 to the bottom. Man, what racing this is in a heat.
Yeah, this is great racing, and all the while, Christopher Hamilton just stalking these two in the back, kind of swinging that car out high and waiting for things to happen, see if he can get a run. If one of the two of these guys, the 44 and the 11, makes a mistake. So far, it's been great racing out front here. Oh,
Nobinger's starting to pull away a little bit. Yep. Nobinger pulling away with John Crane's mistake out of 2 last time. Now Hamilton onto the inside of the number 11. 64 trying to make a slide job. 11 has the power coming out of 2. They're still side by side going into 3. Who's it going to be coming out? And actually, John Crane's lost a little bit of time. Back to a 5-10 gap. It's still anybody's game for the lead. That is Hamilton trying to do all that he can, trying to rip that high side. That's probably where the rubber is least worn, excuse me. Crane trying to do all that he can, all single file now, 6/10 the gap between 1 and 2, but Nobinger putting up fast laps in this race.
Yeah, Hamilton has at least consolidated that position in front of Crane, so he's trying to put his focus forward here, making up some time on Nobinger. Thus far, though, he's not been able to put much dent in that gap.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, he's not putting a dent, but it's also climbing. At a 6-7 tenths now. John Nobinger pulling away here with about 4 to go here at Limaland. Still single file now. Still within a second between 1 and 2. Hamilton still has a chance if Nobinger makes a mistake. What is he going to do, though? Coming to 2 to go here.
John Nobinger finding some speed in that middle line. And Hamilton early on was trying the high line, then the low line, really everything. And Nobinger, after some expedition down into the tires a few times on those early laps, has just run that line in the middle and kept it consistent.
White flag in the air for heat number 2 for John Nobinger. Got to get through one more set of corners to secure his starting spot here for the feature. As he gets out of turn 4, John Nobinger wins heat number 2. Christopher Hamilton P2 and John Crane P3. Good racing from all 3 of these guys. It wasn't easy for Nobinger to win this, and actually John Crane led a couple laps because Nobinger kind of got caught lacking on the start, but That is all over now, and now we got one more heat to go. Dan Phelps, Jacob Groove, and Joseph Sullivan here, rounding out this final heat. And then we're going to go into our 60-lap feature.
Like Phelps managed to put it on ahead of Groove in qualifying, so he'll start on the inside here. Jacob Groove, our points leader, coming into this week for the Premier Series. I don't know if we lost Brendan here. I can't hear him anymore.
Oh, I haven't said anything. I mean, there's nothing to talk about. I mean, at least not now. We're under pacing, and I mean, the racing's good. I mean, I'll say that. That's for sure.
The racing is close here.
I'm expecting the same here with these three guys, but yeah, no, my mic is just very good at not picking up sounds that aren't my voice. But coming to green here for the final heat, Jacob Groove trying to get a start. Not really going to work well, but maybe it does, because he's on that outside of the number 85. The 85's clear, and whoa, what a run from the 95. I did not see that coming at all. Now the 85 Dan Phelps getting shoved back just a little bit from Sullivan. Jacob Groove already pulled out to a 5/10 gap by a pretty interesting start.
Yeah, what a move there from Groove, really shooting the gap and putting that 95 out front. And already he is up to 7/10, 8/10 of a second lead here. And Dan Phelps looks like he is struggling in the back a little bit, about 3 seconds back. Joe Sullivan, no slouch this year. He has been there or thereabouts in just about all of the races that we've had so far, putting himself in the top 4, I believe, in points so far this year in the Premier Series.
Definitely Joseph Sullivan, definitely being a threat to keep an eye out week in, week out. No matter what we race, Joseph Sullivan has at least been a part of that top 5, even podium conversation we may have in some of these races. I mean, he's been doing great. I'm ready for a lot more from him this season, as we are just past halfway. I believe only 3 or 4 more races until the playoffs kick in. Let me confirm that. Yeah, there's Rockingham with the Gen 4 next week, Crandon full with the Pro 4 on the first week of April, and then we're on the playoff round 1s with Kern County on the 305 sprints. So we only have about 3 weeks, including this, until the playoffs start here at course. So at any point you can grab matters. Grab as many as you can, which is probably why Jacob Groove had a little bit of aggressive start. He knew the points could help him. Those extra points, especially lead laps in the playoff stages of this Premier Series.
That's right. I believe there are bonus points for heat victories here. So Groove looking to get some points here and get a good starting position for the feature. But Joe Sullivan hanging on the back and looking for a move as he dives it on the inside, but not going to be able to make it stick yet. But stays right on the back of Jacob Groove.
But Sullivan is there to make the move when necessary. He can slide job. He's close enough to send it hard into the next corner. He's probably going to wait, though, till about 2 or the white flag. If you do that any earlier, you give yourself a chance for the guy you just slide job to either cross you over or do it again on you in the next corner. So he has to be patient with this and time it right. So far, 2 to go here for the final heat. Jacob Groove and Joseph Sullivan only separated by 4/10 of a second. Groove with a little bit of a mistake. Contact's made. They keep it straight. This is getting close, though. Jacob's starting to feel the pressure from the number 76. Oh, and Joseph takes a little bit of a wide line. White flag in the air for heat number 3. 95 cutting low. Here. What's Sullivan going to do? Doesn't have enough. He tried the slide job, but didn't set it in hard enough. Jacob Groove wins heat number 3.
Yeah, Groove opened the door a little bit, coming in hot into that last corner and swinging out the back end. Unfortunately for Joe Sullivan, he was not able to find the line to get the slide job done. But these guys will head on to the feature.
Now we'll be able to show our official gray here tonight for a 60-lap feature. here at Limaland. Brandon Mettler leads it off in pole position with his win in heat number 1. John Nobinger in P2 and Jacob Grube in P3, all your winners from the previous 3 heats. Then it's Carl Handwerk, Christopher Hamilton, Joseph Sullivan, Kevin Foster, John Crane, Dan Phelps, and then James Pierce rounding out your 10-car field here tonight. Gonna be a good race. I'm excited. If the heat said anything about how well this race is gonna go, it's definitely gonna be a very good 60 laps here tonight at Limaland.
Yeah, 60 laps. These guys are gonna have to think a little bit about not overheating those tires and make sure they're not wearing them out on the top end. Might even be a little bit of fuel strategy. If you're ripping the top for the entire 60, you might have a little bit of trouble there at the end. Waiting for Jacob Grube. There he goes.
Now Jacob Grube leaves, but this is going to be fun. Now, you may have noticed just by looking at our camera shots here, the track did not yet reset. The rubber is still there, so that bottom lane is going to die out much, much quicker. Probably not even halfway into this race before a lot of our drivers will have to start migrating to mid or high lane scenarios. Now, you see the rubber there in the high side in 1, but then you also see it kind of transition down to mid-bottom in 1, and you see that super high lane where you have a cushion there on the wall. That's not been touched so far in the heats. But going to green here for the feature event for the first time here tonight. Brandon Mettler tries to lead it off, waiting on Barney. John moving on that outside lane. Green flag is out here for the feature at Limaland. Brandon Mettler with a very good launch, but he grabs the tire. It's going to slide up a little bit. 3 wide behind for P2. They're wrecking a little bit, but they managed to keep it straight. Never mind. John Crane is chaos back there, and they're still going. No caution.
Yeah, just unfortunate there for Crane, kind of getting caught up in a little bit of a mess there with the 95 and another car getting kind of next to each other, next to the wall, and not enough room there, but they kept her going.
Joseph Sullivan is struggling a little bit too after being involved in that lap 1 incident just a little bit, struggling to get that car back going. But that allows your top 3 to be Mettler, Nobinger, and Hamilton, as we expected anything less from these 3 guys who has been very well known here all Premier season. It is very understandable why these guys are top 3. Everybody else single file now.
Oh wait, we have someone in the back.
Oh, that's James Pierce stopped in turn 2. He's 1 lap down. It's going to be 1 lap down. He's got that car rolling again. But that's going to bring out our first caution for the night here at Limaland. We're going to take a look to see exactly what happened. It's also telling me Dan Phelps crashed, so maybe he had a little bit of involvement in this. As you see, James Pierce coming out of 4 on the outside of Crane. As we'll slow-mo it here for ya. Oh yeah, look at Dan Phelps. He sent it too hard going into 2. He gets stopped. James Pierce has nowhere to go. Clips the left rear of the number 85, and they both end up backwards in 1 and 2, which is definitely not where you want to be. Dan Phelps managed to not go 1 lap down. Unfortunately, James Pierce did, because he wasn't able to get that car rolled around in time before the lead pack came back around. But also, look at this. We have a little bit of tire cooling strategy. Kevin Foster is pacing on that outside lane. That will cool the tires just a little bit, which may help him later on, as we're already double filing here. So we may be going green this time by. He does. Yes, the pace car drops off. That's very quick. Now Mettler, he goes right on the pit lane commitment cone. Good jump on the number 44. So 64 on the inside of the 44, and Hamilton trying to make a move and handwork on that outside a little bit further on back, trying to do what he can.
Oh man, and that bottom line is so tempting down there, but then you get in and then you notice that those tires are sticking up. Mettler and Hamilton, just as I mentioned it,
and he's getting turned in front of the field.
He gets sent around.
He's sitting backwards, still no caution yet, but he's gonna have. Yep, there it is. These cars do not have a very good turning radius, so in order to get it turned from where he would have had to stop, drag it in reverse maybe, and then get going. But that allows James Pierce to get his lap back.
Yeah,
if we have lucky dogs here in the dirt side, but I'm pretty sure we do.
I believe there will be, and I was just starting to talk about those tires down low, just as Hamilton was heading to the exit, and his front left tire clipped one, got him a little bit out of shape, and those behind were not able to slow up in time, sent him around.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. I mean, we saw Nobinger do it a little bit in the heat. He grabbed the tires. He managed to stay out in front, but that's the risk you take by cutting so low. And yes, there is a lucky dog. James Pierce will get his lap back. But that's the kind of a risk you take going that low. It's faster, yeah. But if you grab that left front wrong, you are going to go around in front of the field.
Yeah, just looking back at that incident, he came out in front of Handwork, and there's really nothing that Handwork could do.
Ace Trucks dropped back off again. That was
And
super early.
Green.
Nobody was ready for that. Marin Metler, though, gets a good launch of that 44. And here comes Handwork to the inside of the 44. Contact is made. 18 saves it. Going into turn 3, and that allows Sullivan a little bit further on back to now take a peek on that outside lane, but too much spacing between the P4 and P3. Handwork manages to hold on to 3, but man, that was close.
A lot of action on that restart is, like you said, I'm not sure if those guys were really ready. Certainly the field was not bunched up or in their rows, but nevertheless, here we go. We are still green here, and they're starting to string themselves out into a line.
If they're starting to string out just a little bit, that it matters enough to at least understand how the track will feel in different lines. As 44 is all over the back bumper of that 15. Gotta do what he's gotta do. To the inside, that 44 goes. He has the car. He is there. 44 tries a slide jump, but you see the rubber just isn't working in his favor. 15 gets a better run out of 4.
And Nobinger just lost all kinds of momentum, and that time he hits a tire, and that's going to send him way back into the clutches of the 18 as Metler able to extend his lead. Now Carl Handwork looking at the back bumper of the 44, going to try to send it on the outside, and he loses a little bit of momentum as well. These guys looking for the line that's going to work here. Oh, and Handwork just maybe got in the back of Nobinger, I'm not sure. Maybe Nobinger just wanted to send it that low. Now Handwork has a run out of the corner, and he's going to send it to the inside of turn 3.
Oh, contact!
Oh, and Handwork makes contact.
Goes around, sits it on the
That's
racing
gonna be
line.
yellow.
People scatter, and they manage to barely miss the rest of them as everybody scattered on that front straight trying to avoid. And I believe that one is going to be on Handwork. I want to take a look here. Coming out of turn 4 here, Handwork gets a good line on that number 44 going into turn 3. He is on the outside Handwork is on the inside by dirt turns. Looks like Nobinger comes down a little bit to try to cut him off. And Handwork, obviously not expecting that, tags the 44's left rear, which gets him rear-ended by, I believe that's Joseph Sullivan. Yeah, that's Sullivan. You see Groove go to the outside. He barely avoids it. Where did Foster go in this one? Oh, Foster split in the middle.
Oh, what a move by Foster there, just to avoid the contact. This is just incredible driving right there.
Again, yeah, I'm going to have to repeat what he said. Great driving by Foster there, because he split in the middle, barely got clipped on that right rear, but managed to hit the brakes and slow it down in time. As we're going to watch the pace truck light to see how quickly they go off. Yeah, they're already off. I hope the field realizes that now, because we're about to go green here again at Limaland. As you see, they're all trying to bunch up as easy as they can. And it looks like they're going to get it, but Jacob Grube holding back a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean a decent amount, but big commitment coming now. Metler, another good start on the number 44. Jacob Grube on the inside of the 8. 3 wide coming out of turn 2. Foster on that outside. Grube stuck in the middle. And Hamilton on that inside lane trying to have a recovery drive after getting turned a little bit earlier on in this race.
They're still just about 3 wide here.
Oh, Sullivan with a little bit of contact. He's going around.
Sullivan
He's
around,
on
but
the bottom,
off the racing
though.
surface. That might not be a yellow. Yep, it looks like it's going to
Yeah,
stay
he gets
green
that
here.
going. We're still green here. As the rest of the field is now coming around 1 very, very fast. As Hamilton actually got around the 8 pretty easily. I didn't see that. But now the 64 trying to go around that 44. And then he's definitely going to be chasing after that 15. As this is some great racing right now, as we are coming to just above halfway this time. As Mettler still leads it.
Brandon Mettler thus far has been able to avoid all of the drama being out front. Hamilton's really committed to that bottom line, as close to the tires as he can get, and that has come to bite him a couple times, but for now it's working for him. He's put that car back up into the podium spots.
Now Hamilton trying to do all he can, but you also see Foster on that outside lane. Later on in this race, that outside lane is definitely going to be the good one. I don't think it is right now, but that outside is definitely, we're going to have to make the moves here at the last 10 to 5 laps of this race. As they are side by side from P2 with the number 64 and the 44. Hamilton all the way on the inside, grabs the tires a little bit. That's going to allow the 44's run off.
Yeah, Christopher Hamilton using the last little bit of dirt that's down on that bottom line. How much longer is that going to work for him? We're going to have to see, as it looks like now he's fallen back just a little bit, but the 44 looking up a little higher for some moisture in that dirt.
A little bit further on back, right behind Hamilton. The 8 and the 11 are now fighting. John Crane putting pressure on that 8 as Crane's trying to make the move. He gets that huge inside. He's going to try and slide job the 8. Slide job is done if Foster doesn't go for a re-attack right now. Oh, and Foster gets turned by the 95. Stuck in turn 4. There goes Handwork. As the caution comes out, they get rolling before the leaders come back around, and Handwork needing to take a little bit of tires.
I'd like to take a look at that again.
I agree. Let's take a look at Kevin Foster here. So, John Crane clears Foster. There's no question about that. It's behind that happens here with the 95. Yeah, Jacob Grube sends it very hard in the turn 1. Clips the rear end of the 8, which I believe the 8 just checked up a little bit, so he didn't clip the rear end of the 11. James Pierce barely makes it by on the bottom, but then we see Handwork nowhere to go. Luckily, he didn't add any extra contact. He managed to slam on those brakes quickly enough.
I wonder if Foster got his front left tire clipped by Pierce. I'm not sure if he's going to end up with some damage there. Looks relatively straight enough, so we'll see if he can continue.
It looks about the same. I mean, those left fronts are severely cambered already, and so that looks about right. It's one the green, guys. Come on, get... Yep, face truck's off. Top 4 is at least organized. Mettler with the good restart, but Nobinger still in that outside lane. Not as good of a restart Mettler has gotten this time. With the 64 now on that inside. Here comes the 44 to the outside of the leader. Not gonna work too well though, so 44 tries now to block that 64 on the bottom. Great race there. They're basically 3 wide for the lead going into turn 1. Mettler on the outside. Hamilton we have the one beating to concede.
John Crane.
Yeah, here comes Crane on the outside from third.
Yeah, Crane making a great move up here on the outside as Hamilton was really stuck to the bottom with that almost 3 wide, like you mentioned, Brendan. And Crane is making it work here on the outside, trying to put himself into the top 3.
Jacob Grube a little bit further. Oh, big contact, I believe, a little further on back. Yeah, that's the 76. As I saw just
that car does not look right.
Yeah, I saw just barely at the end of my camera the 76 get spun and then smack dab, and Carl, he's jumped to the... What has happened here as we're taking a look here? So coming up, so Handwork grabbed the wall coming out of 2, coming through 3 and 4 now. I believe it had something to do that started with Jacob Grube. Yep, sent it too hard in 4. Handwork barely tags them, but then Sullivan here. Oh, Sullivan tries to go high. But Handwork is there and snags the left side there, and I didn't think anything was broken for Handwork. Unless if he thought so. Yeah, he has
retired that car and called it a night, unfortunately for Carl Handwork.
That's truly unfortunate as we're now down to 9 guys here on lap 46 out of 60. Getting ready to restart this thing again here with Brent with the top 3 essentially haven't changing for the past 10 laps now. It's still Mettler, Nobinger, and Hamilton as your top 3 with the with John Crane, who we haven't talked about much this race until he made that move on the outside of the 3 wide, sitting in P4. Mettler gets a good jump on the number 44, has the whole track to himself if he wants. 44 fighting the 64 on that inside lane. Here comes Noberg with a good run off too, to the inside of the 15 now he goes.
Oh, every time we have a restart, we get some of this action, and it's been about the same every time with Christopher Hamilton really staying committed once again to that inside lane.
I feel like I'm commentating on Flow Racing on their Saturday night stuff, but I digress. As the number 11 gets the wall a little bit out of 4 there at the end of it. Still 64 Hamilton trying to make that inside lane work, but the power the guy on the outside gets just too overpowering to try to make a move to that inside. Kind of what I meant here. Now we're in that window. I expected the outside lane to become viable not only for passing but for defending, as we see Nobinger doing just that, defending his P2.
Yeah, we're coming to 10 to go here. 10 to go.
As the top 3 is all single filed out a little bit. John Crane hard set into turn 2. He smacks the wall a little bit. Feel the time he's trying to gain to get to Hamilton.
Christopher Hamilton now using the high lane. Something he hasn't really done much of in this race so far. Back to the low lane for turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, it's something. Now he's back to the tires, but that allows Crane to get the run out of turn 2. He blocks it, but Crane has a chance to slide job, but the 64 blocks that too. Crane trying to do all that he can, as we are now 6 to go here. Excuse me, I believe that's 7 to go. But we are coming to the end of this race with our top 5 single file. With Brandon Mettler running away here with this race, as Nobinger just trying to hang on to P2 here.
Mettler just making it look easy tonight here at the front on the dirt. Not something that I knew that Brandon Mettler really had in him. I knew he had the short track skills, but mostly on asphalt. But here tonight, showing up on the dirt so far and putting a gap on the field and staying out front with all of these restarts.
I'll stay down low.
Number 11 trying to make it work on that outside lane. The number 64 still trying to defend hard. It's kind of crazy right now for P3. Crane trying to take a peek on that inside. Not going to work, though. That car, Dan Phelps on the bottom. He's going to stay away. That forced the number 11 to check up a little bit, because he didn't know what Dan Phelps was going to do if he didn't have the radio on.
Yeah, 2.5 laps. He did say he was going to stay low on the radio, so they should have known that. Here we go, 2 more laps.
2 to go here at Limaland. Focusing on Brandon Mettler now with his 1.3 second gap here over John Nobinger. Great racing from that number 1. He's going to take the white flag and basically have his win guaranteed. John Crane still trying to chase down that 64, but it looks like that's not going to work. Hard send into 2. He's not going to make it. Brandon Mettler, though, will take the win here at Limaland for the 60-lap feature event. Nobinger P2. Hamilton managed to hold on to P3. James Pierce in 5th. That's a very good strong showing from him, as he's even stated himself he's not the greatest at dirt ovals, so strong showing from him tonight. Groove in P6, Joseph Sullivan P7, Foster P8, Dan Phelps in P9, our only DNF of Carl Handwerk in P10. As we just pull up the official results here. Is everybody just doing... I'm thinking of the victory laps that old NASCAR guy used to do, but not doing them backwards. Doing the reverse of those.
Polish victory lap.
Polish victory lap, thank you. Doing the reverse of those, and we're just doing extra racing laps, I guess. And Mettler parks that on the start-finish line on the front straight. Again, great showing from him here tonight. John Nobinger again, P2, and Dan Phelps around... Wait, oh, that's qualifying. I'm like, wait a minute. Dan Phelps finished, 9th. Alright, there's your race results. Brandon Mettler, John Nobinger, and Christopher Hamilton round out your top 3.
Yet next we have John Crane and James Pierce. Maybe a surprising finish with putting it in the top 5 for both of them and taking away some points from our points leader, Jacob Grube, sitting in 6th. Our P4 right now in points, Joe Sullivan in 7th, Kevin Foster in 8th, matching his number. Dan Phelps there in 9th, and a disappointing night for Carl Handwork in 10th place.
Nobody in the broadcast waiting room just yet, but Hamilton is in general. Oh, as I say that, Hamilton drops down to the waiting room. So we're gonna pull him up here once I find the move. And Christopher Hamilton, this is Brendan and Dave in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, first off, we're gonna start with the heat that you were in, because that was interesting to say the least, because you and I believe it was Crane and somebody else, but whoever you were with was producing great racing in the heat, and then you replicated it in the feature. I mean, y'all were 3 wide every time we had a restart here in this race, and y'all kept it clean. How was this race going on for you, and what kind of line strategies, I guess you could say, did you impose?
Well, I'm glad you had a great time, because I was got a little frustrated inside the car, all things considered. I'll take a P3 though, but I could not get off the corner. It showed. I could not get out of the corner at all, so I tried the low line because it's the shortest way around, least amount of acceleration, and I was able to get guys on entry and get at least side by side with them, but I could not do anything because I couldn't get out of the corner.
Yeah, we kind of noticed that a little bit just by watching. We're definitely struggling with some runs off, and I believe that's why you chose the bottom lane throughout the whole race, because you can allow the car to slide up. Since you couldn't really get that turn off, you can allow it to slide to the wall and still get power off, which, as a driver's standpoint, I see that as an absolute win, because that's showing that you're not only understanding what the car is doing, you are doing what you can to fix it, even in a fixed setup scenario, which to me shows a damn good driver.
Yeah, I was trying. I mean, I'm not afraid to try different lines, and I was trying it in the heat race, trying it in the in the race itself. I feel bad a little bit for Carl because I accidentally got into him and I might have given him damage. But yeah, I was just trying to keep it off the turtles because I kept hitting them, and go where it wasn't slick, and I'll take a third.
Definitely not something to complain about. But before we get you on out of here to celebrate your P3s, anybody you'd like to thank on that number 64?
Yeah, definitely a huge shout out to the competitors tonight. I know it was a little small tonight, but that is okay. I do enjoy coming in here each and every week, and thanks to you guys for the broadcast.
All right, Christopher, again, congratulations on that P3. Hopefully we'll see you next week for the second to last race of the Core Premier Series regular season with Rockingham at the Gen 4s. I know it's going to be interesting.
That's going to be another dirt race for you, but enjoy it.
10-4, we'll take note. But again, congratulations. We'll see you next week.
All right, see you guys.
That was our P3 of Christopher Hamilton. Gonna bring in our P2 of John Nobinger, and David, I'm gonna let you take care of this one.
Hey, John, this is David and Brendan in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy on you.
All right, so P2 tonight, and you were kind of able to stay out of some of the trouble that was going on in this race. Tell us more about your race tonight.
Just being behind Brandon. Brandon was trying to save a little bit of tire, and never could quite get enough of a run to just clear him. The track was pretty burned off, but but the problem was being stuck between Brandon and Chris. Chris trying to get around me, and I'm kind of stuck behind Brandon, nowhere to really go. So it was quite a few laps of white knuckle, just like, all right, I'm just going to be between them.
Yeah, you guys had a couple of restarts there toward the second half of the race where it just about went 3 wide on each restart, and you guys were able to keep it off of each other. It looked like you pretty much stayed on the middle line all night. Did you do any exploration to see if anything was there on the bottom or the top?
I could tell Chris kept trying that low line, but I could see about mid-track, like what would it say, kind of corner exit, he was just dropping too much to really make it viable. I knew that it wouldn't give me a run on Brandon. So I tried the top a couple times, but the top never quite seemed like it had enough speed to make, to give you that, or I could get the speed out of it, but I wouldn't be close enough to Brandon, who was still running the middle, to clear him. So, but Chris kind of kept me in the middle. That's where I had to run to be fast enough to stay ahead of him.
Absolutely. Well, doing what you had to do to make it work, and you did that to great effect tonight. Getting yourself on the middle step of the podium. Anything that anyone out there that you would like to thank tonight?
Well, definitely thank you and Brendan in the booth for doing our broadcast, Carl for putting on the league, and wish we had a few more show up tonight, but 10 car field, not too bad, and everybody for the most part doing some clean racing tonight.
All right, excellent. Well, we will let you go, and congratulations on the second place, and see you next week.
Thank you.
That was our P2 of John Nobinger. Gonna bring our winner here tonight, who has dominated everything he did, at least of qualifying and heat-wise. Brandon Mettler. This is Brandon, and Dan in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got you guys.
Well, you probably heard me say it as I pull you in, but you absolutely dominated whatever you were doing. If you were on track, you were in the lead. How did the track feel? Because the track didn't get reset between the heats and the feature, so I know that must have gotten slick by the end of it. And John said you were saving tires mostly, so obviously it worked out. But how did it feel?
Yeah, these cars are kind of similar to like the dirt street stocks and stuff that are, relatively low horsepower and really, really heavy. So they're all based on momentum, and I knew going into it that the tires wear out in these pretty quick. And so ever since the recent update with dirt, it's been a learning curve to manage tires and whatnot. So like I said, that top line's got to come in eventually. The track not resetting played out in my favor really big time, just because I knew the top was going to come eventually. And if you roll that top and you hit the right line, you're going to get a lot of momentum, and it's really hard to pass you at that point. So that's kind of the strategy there. Towards the beginning, just running to the low line, trying to save as much tires as I can, because like you said, the track would have slicked off, and you don't have any tire. It's like a driving on an ice skating rink. So just want to make sure I had tire at the end, so I know I could run the top line. It worked out perfectly, and pretty good at that aspect. So good stuff.
And again, obviously it worked out very well. One from John Nobinger with over a second and a half, and honestly, if it went green the whole way, I won't be surprised if you lapped the field. You were moving at the end of that race, and definitely was a force to be reckoned with here on the dirt oval side. But before we get you on out of here, is there anybody you'd like to thank on that number 15 machine?
Yeah, for sure. Got to thank Bang Racing Videos, YouTube and Facebook for all the real life racing pictures and video and stuff. Some good stuff over there on those pages. Got to thank 5 Kings Motorsports and all my teammates that run week in, week out with me on the short track side during the week. All of our team sponsors, EPI, The Buck Kicker, Truson Productions, Savage Edge Apparel, USAFirearms.com. Got to thank all the league admins for putting this thing on. I've been here for a long time, it seems like, ever since I started, even though it really wasn't. And obviously I keep coming back. It's a good group of guys, and the league is ran really well. It's a good mix of leagues and cars and tracks and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously for you guys for giving us a name and an image to go back and learn and see what lines we missed and what lines we could have taken and all that kind of stuff, but also see our wins like tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice feeling to have, but good win here tonight. Hopefully we see you next week at the Gen 4s at Rockingham. That's basically what you're going to be doing here now, so not much is going to change. Hopefully we'll see you next week then, buddy.
Yep, Gen 4 scares me, but we'll see what happens.
That was our winner of Brandon Mettler, who, again, absolutely dominated everything he did later tonight with the heats, the qualifying, and the race, as he's done anything and did it all very well here tonight. David, is there any last thoughts you'd like to say on this race before we get this on out of here?
Well, maybe some surprise results. Brandon Mettler, our resident short track guy, I guess you could say, doing it here on the dirt, and Christopher Hamilton struggling a little bit, and Jacob Grube struggling. Jacob Grube and Carl Hanwork both kind of struggling in the bottom half of the field. So it'll be interesting to see where the points end up. And with just 2 weeks left going into the playoffs, I think these guys are really looking for wins to get those playoff bonus points. Brandon Mettler able to do that tonight, and that's going to put him in just a little bit better position as we go into in just a few weeks go into the playoff round.
I gotta help Brandon Mettler out. If you guys enjoy MX5 racing, Monday nights, it's not broadcasted, but we do have it here at Core. We have an MX5 series here we all like to run. Tomorrow is going to be their season finale, I see, at Daytona Road. So if any of you guys want to just hop in for a season finale and understand how this racing is going to be like with our guys, you could definitely come in Monday nights and figure that out. Tuesday night is our Core Xfinity series, which also appears to have their season finale Tuesday at Kansas Raceway, which is certainly a very fun card track combo to have with those Xfinity cars. Definitely one to watch on Tuesday nights. Thursday night is the Core GT series, which it looks like they are also going to have their season finale at Sebring. Nice, considering what race is also this weekend for iRacing in general. So if any of y'all like the LMP2 class or the GT3 class in general, make sure to tune in Thursday night for that stuff. And we also broadcast a lot more. I believe we have an NIS kind of series for the trucks on Saturday nights. I know we do the Lucky Dog and Smoky Mountain series when those stuff are going. Those are more dirt and short track oriented. So if you guys like those, just be sure to keep a lookout on the notifications from our channel to see when those stuff goes live. And then obviously next week, today will be the Gen 4s at Rockingham, which is, again, gonna be a ice rink later on in one of those runs, but nothing our drivers can't handle. If you guys like this tonight, be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week.